Okay.
I don't know when you're gonna get there, and
Hello, everyone. I'm going to ask if you
don't.
guys could all mute yourselves. That would be fantastic. Unless you have a question, of course, then feel free to unmute and ask it. There will be time at the end for questions, but if there's something that you want to while in the middle, feel free to blurt it out. That's fine. So I'm David Niebuhr. I'm the coach administrator for AYSO 599. And thank you for coming tonight and taking some time out of your schedule to listen to this. For those of you that are returning coaches, you've probably heard a lot of this before, but for new coaches, there's some stuff in here that's beneficial. And even for returning coaches, there's some things that are different this year. So let's go ahead and get to it. I want to get through this and focus on important stuff. So, all right. So I believe that says 2019 by our sponsors for this year. And if you guys, whoever's out there that's not muted, if you guys could mute. Fantastic.
Zoom nomás de ser coach del soccer de
Hey David, I think if you're the leader of the Zoom call, you can go in and mute people.
I think you're right. I'm just going to, I'm going to. Yeah, you're right. I can. I remember doing this. Let's have to see him sometime. Anyway, let's continue. Let me try to find that where it's at. There we go. So it's still looking. Whoever's out there, could you please mute?
I'm really focused.
Sorry, I'm going through a few by hand because I can't see them. All right, that looks good. Sorry about that. All right, let's continue. So this year, sorry, I'm getting off to a great start. Okay, so this year our 6U and 8U coordinators are, for 6U, we don't have anyone. Marianne, I'm going to butcher her name because I never called her by last name. I think it's Meg. Sorry, I apologize. But she's the coach coordinator like myself, but she deals with the 6U and the 8Us. So she's filling in for 6U. So this means that in next year, if any of you are interested in being a division coordinator, we could sure use your help. For 6U, we have Chris Owens. 8U, Marianne's also filling in there, and Jennifer I want to say Corgi, but I don't think it's pronounced that way. She's our 8U for boys. And so between the four of them and myself, we've been get your teams together. Now,
it also came in 10 miles per hour faster than the previous one.
Sorry, I'm trying to find where I can mute everybody.
Wow.
So sorry about that. I usually won't let me minimize without doing something to it. All right, 7 positions. These are the board. I'll go through this quick. Tina Self's the regional commissioner. I'm the owner system. Coach coordinator. Todd Cooper's our CVPA. Mark Wesley is our ref administrator. So if you're interested in any kind of reffing stuff, he's the person to talk to. If you want to become a ref for the older kids, it's not so much an issue with 6U and 8U. We don't really deal with refs, and if we have refs for 8U, but we usually try to encourage the youth refs to do that. And then we have our safety director Celia, and our registrar Chris, and then our treasurer Ben. So that's what's required in order to have an AYSO region. Can't have it without those people. In addition, we have the rest of us, the rest of the people that's helping out. We have a secretary, and then we have these various other positions here. Tina, as the RC, is also the picture coordinator. She's also the uniform coordinator. She's also doing work with the 2022 Surf and Turf, which is our what's it called, all-star tournament. And so you can see there's a lot of people. It takes a lot of people to run this thing, and a lot of us wear multiple hats just to get it done. So those of you here to obviously you're here coaching, really appreciate it. But if you want to get involved more and see kind of peek behind the curtain, see how we work, you're more than welcome to come to a board meeting or just talk to us. So we'd always like extra help. And even if it's something that, you know, you all have specific skills and talents that you could put use to. For example, I'm also the webmaster, but that's not my forte. So I'm doing it. But if anyone out there is good with webs, then that'd be nice to have someone that could kind of pick that up. So anyway, just a little plug. All right, so AYSO, this is the vision and mission statement. You've probably seen it everywhere. It's basically AYSO is it's meant to be a youth recreational soccer where everyone can play, and that's it. Open registration. Anyone who registers can get in and play. Our philosophies are as such. Sorry about that. The main one, open registration, and everyone plays. Those are the two key, because everyone has to play half a game before anyone plays 3/4, and everyone plays 3/4 while everyone plays a half. And that wasn't always the case. It's always been half a game, but the 3/4 full game is relatively new, at least from my view. It's been, when I started in AYSO back in the early 70s, I played in it, and I played through it through high school until I graduated. And I've seen a lot of changes in AYSO over the course, but these core fundamentals have always been there. So we encourage good sportsmanship, obviously, the positive coaching, being very forthright and telling the kids to, when they do good, and if you have to give them an improvement, then, you know, tell them the improvement, but always try to compliment them in a way of what they did good, but maybe you could try this next. So, I mean, all that you guys will cover in your specific coaching classes, and the coaching classes for 6U and 8U are all online, so they're not meant to be real obtrusive. I know that some of you have had some issues with just logging on to AYSOU, and I apologize for that. We're changing systems this year. AYSO's decided, and it's not been the smoothest transition, I must say. Okay, so AYSO team, kids are the first and foremost. If you keep that in mind, everything will be great. All right, so volunteer requirements. Now, this is something AYSO, and you know, they do require a lot of the volunteers, and I can't say, you know, I have no control over what they mandate. We basically are divided by sections. So there's section 1 through 11. We're in section 10, which is basically the central part of California, down to, I believe, Ventura and Oxnard. And up to, I think, Monterey County. And so within our section, then there's areas, and then we're in area Q. And then within the area, we have the region. And so we're beholden to the rules of AYSO. And so for one is all volunteers must have an application, go through a background check. That's free for volunteers. The region pays for it. Of course, if you want to donate, that's always welcome. But also the AYSO requires the safe haven, sudden cardiac arrest, and the CDC concussion awareness training. Those are webinars that can be had. And so those two requirements must be filled before you can get your coach roster. And so once those are filled, you get your coach roster, you can start. Now, age appropriate coach training, they do require both the assistant and the head coach to be trained. I sometimes question at 6U and 8U, when you have 4 people playing, do you really need 2 full coaches? But that's what they want. Now, so, I mean, I'm not going to chase you down and not let you play if you end up with only 1 coach. It's just, you know, it's what they want. We try to do the best to fill it, and, you know, I leave it to you guys. So you're putting in your time volunteering. I greatly appreciate that. So I'm not here to bark orders and mandate things. I just have to follow a certain guideline from above. All right. So AYSOU looks like this. If you haven't been on it yet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you real quick. If we stop share and I go to, bear with me, I'm going to share my AYSOU, which, where is you hiding? go. Oops, that's not the right one. Apologize about that. Right. I should have closed more windows before this. Apologize. And I'm not sure why it's. Man, I really apologize because I thought I had this dialed, but it's not showing. Anyway, well, what I really wanted to do is I wanted to show you the AYSO if you haven't been in it, but it sounds like most of you have. It's pretty self-explanatory once you get in there. What I would say is I don't want to take any more time trying to get that thing to behave. And then if you have questions, contact your division coordinator. So once you're in there, though, you sign up. You're going to look under online training courses, and then under that, you can get your 6U and 8U webinars. Take them. You're done. There's also a coach manual, I believe you can download. In the past, we used to give hard copies out. I believe a lot of that's online now, though, so you can download it. If you're new to coaching and you'd like someone to mentor, maybe help out or give you some pointers, by all means, contact your division coordinator, and we're more than happy to help you out with that. And last thing is coach awareness, and that's just really keeping that mindset of being a coach, that how you behave in front of the kids is going to be modeled by the kids. And so it's always good to try to give them the most positive experience that you can. And so that's a lot of the emphasis in AYSO, and it after a while it seems like it's repetitive, but it is at the fundamental core. We're here for the kids and nothing else. All right, so in terms of the fields, so practice and games will, for the 6U Hawthorne, there's 4 fields at Hawthorne. And so those 4 fields.
Cutoffs.
Chris, is that you talking? So Hawthorne, we have 4 fields, no dogs. Please, that's a San Luis Coastal rule and AYSO. Please pick up your trash. So how we leave the field on Saturday reflects on AYSO. So if you can.
Oh, future.
Please. Chris, are you talking? Can you mute? Thanks. So field setup. First to arrive sets up the field. That's not really that big a deal with 6U. So the way 6U works, everything will be in a shed. It has a combination. You'll open that. You'll set up those fields. The goals are small. You only play 4x4, 4 against 4 on the team, and the games are very short. They're only 20 minutes long. So 5-minute quarters. And so the idea with 6U is to have a short practice beforehand and then play, and you're done. So everything in 6U is pretty much in the morning of Saturday, and then you're finished. So main thing, we have, because of COVID, we have to have bathrooms. So we have honey huts at all the practice locations. So I believe, and the bathroom is also locked to keep people from living and taking showers in there. And so we've gone ahead and, it's a honey hut, so not much you can do, but so there's a lock on it, and the division coordinators will have the combination and they'll make sure it's open. All right. And again, encourage your parents to help with this. You guys are going out of your way to coach. So I think it's only fair that you ask the parents to just help you out. So here's an overview of the Hawthorne field. Hawthorne field is Broad Street would be on the east side or the right side of the screen. And so typically the way AYSO works is the east side or the north side of the field is considered the home side, and that's where the home team's parents stand. And on the other side is the visitor. And so you'll be told when you get the schedule who's home, who's visitor. Generally, the home team provides the ball, and that's about it. Typical schedule would look like this. Besides 6U, we also have schoolyard, which is for children 4 and under 5. So even I think as young as, I think we have some 3.5, but I don't know what the exact date cutoff is. But so that's gives you an idea. The schoolyard goes first, and then we do our 6U, and then boys, and then we do our girls. And I'm not saying this is the schedule here. I'm just saying this is what it will look like. So now that we've hustled to get the teams formed, we're now going to start working on the schedule. So that'll be the next thing to expect. All right, and it says early September. That's very optimistic. So don't email me if you haven't gotten it by early September. Division coordinators will update you. And generally, if you need to talk to someone, talk to your division coordinator about stuff. They know it, and if they don't know the answer, they'll contact me. If you really need to talk to me, I'm always open, but I get a lot of emails from a lot of people. That's why I have a separate email just for this. And so I may not always get back to you as quickly as the division coordinator might be able to. Okay, so for 8U, this is the Damon Garcia layout. So we have the big field to the left, and then we have, this is one configuration that we do where we take this field A and make it into A1 and A2, which would be where 10Us would play. So 10Us could be on these 4 fields, and then these 3 fields would be for 8Us. Normally what we've done lately is we've kept a field to be just one big field, and we play the 12Us on it all day. But just to give you an idea where the fields are. We also have a schematic of this when you come onto the field. So if your parents aren't sure where, generally this is, you can tell them we're on field C1, C2, C3, B1, B2, whatever. And then they can look and they'll know. So it's not a huge place, not hard to find. And that's just a higher magnification picture of it. And again, I'm going to record, this is being recorded. I'm going to put it online. So if you missed any part of this award-winning presentation, feel free to download it and watch it at your leisure. All right, so 8U fields, that's Damon Garcia. So every 8U to 19U plays there. Again, no dogs, please pick up your trash. Typically fields C1, C2, and C3, as I pointed out, are for the 8Us. The earliest games at 8. So that means that if you have an 8 o'clock game, then the coach should plan to arrive by around 7 because the coaches are responsible for setting up the fields. And for 8U, the goals need to be built. They're actually piecemeal because they're not full-size goals like the older kids use. So they're pretty easy to build and put the nets in, but it does take some time. And the problem is if you get there at 10 till 8 and try to do it all, your game's going to start late. That means that all the subsequent games are going to be late, and the referee is going to have to cut off time from each game, and the kids won't get as much time on the field. Because we have to keep it going. We can't be behind by an hour and a half because it gets dark. We play basically from 8 o'clock till the last game at 4 or 4:30. So the goals and corner flags, those are in the trailer. The trailer's parked in the parking lot. So again, help taking this stuff in the morning. If you're a morning person, you're on the field, we greatly appreciate it because we get there, we have to set up the main tent, the referee tent. There's just a lot of stuff to move around, and we roll garbage cans down because otherwise it's just a big mess because there's just not enough trash cans. So AYSO, our region, actually purchases trash cans or rents them from Slow Garbage for the season to make sure that there's enough garbage cans for you guys. And please pick up trash and don't leave stuff behind. So I'm going to say it over and over again because in years past, it's not fun after a long day of reffing and coaching and being there to have to then sweep the field and pick up all the garbage because the city will come down on us if we leave it a pigsty. So there's a typical schedule. So again, early September optimistics. When we schedule, we do take into account coaches that have multiple teams so that you're not playing a game on top of the same time. We realize that you can't clone yourselves just yet. So, and the other thing is teams that have volunteers who've offered to set up, they'll have early games. So sometimes we do get volunteers to say, hey, I want an 8 o'clock game or 9 o'clock game. And we say, sure, we'll make sure you're in it. But as for that request, we just ask that you come and help us set up. So if that's something that you think you want or you're beyond early games, we can't really take requests for say, I want to play at noon or I want to play at 11. It just becomes a logistical nightmare to try to schedule. And that's kind of the same reason why we don't really honor player requests. So people say, I want to be on team with so-and-so. Well, if they're a sibling, that's fine, or a relative within reason, that's fine. But friends, we just can't honor because it's just too hard. Now we try to, as 6U and 8U, we try to group them by school. But as you can imagine, as the kids get older, we group them by rating so that we balance the teams skill-wise. And so obviously by having people request that, it just wouldn't work. All right. So one thing about parking, the Cesslock Federal Credit Union is there, and this schematic, Damon Garcia is up here on the top, and if you are coming there, generally this lot tends to be full, and so we're not really authorized to park over in the Marigold Shopping Center. People do, but we're not supposed to. As far as Cesslock goes, here's the caveat on Saturdays. They only want us to park in the south lot. That's the lot that's behind Cesslock, so it's the far south. The north lot we can't use, and in fact, we used to have someone that would just sit out there and guard it for us, but because a few years ago someone was very nasty to that individual, now we have to hire private security at a substantial cost to the region to basically guard the lot. So that is what it is, but that's where we're at. So just please honor this. Don't park there, because again, it'll come back to us. And they will give parking tickets. There is on the industrial way, there is a sign that says no parking past a certain point. So don't park like right on the radius, because they will give tickets. They love to come there and do that.
David,
Yes.
they will also tow cars from the shopping center. So do not even attempt to park there.
Okay, good point. Thank you.
So.
So 6U session, this is kind of an overview of what you do. The session being you have a 30-minute technical session. That's where the coach would run the kids through various warm-up skills, warm-up drills, skills to build ball control, handling, coarse motor skills, things that you expect for 4 and 5-year-olds. And then after that, they say it's a 25-minute game. So we give you, it's like I said, 5-minute quarters and then a 5-minute halftime. And so there's 4v4, no goalkeepers, and kickoff is just by a coin flip. Usually the coaches officiate, but again, it's not really, we're not there for rule enforcement unless it's flagrant. And then usually it's just, you can't do that. We want it to be fun for them. So just let them kick the ball around. We don't keep score. Encourage them to just get out there and have fun. And that's really what 6U is about. And I coached both my kids in that, and I really enjoyed that time back then. And so again, it's pretty low key. I mean, we're not recruiting for the U.S. national team at this level. So just let them have fun. All right. So terms of requirements, you want even at this age, it's uniforms, shirt, socks, the shorts that we give you. Now, so I realize sometimes they might drown in the clothes if they're too big. If you do have an issue with the uniform, that's something I'll address later. Well, actually, I'll just say it now so I don't forget it. Each coach, when they get your game bag, will be given a sheet it's a receipt for their uniform. It's very important to hold on to that sheet, because if you need something with the uniform, you need a different size or in order to order an extra or whatever, then you need to know that number so that we know what uniform you got it. You can't just say, well, it's a light blue or it's a dark green, because they all have their codes too. Shoes and shin guards. So they don't need cleats at this level. If they want to have them, that's fine. They're not required. I don't think we really require cleats. I don't know if we require cleats at all, honestly. I think at the older levels, never see anyone not play in cleats, but I don't know if that's an actual but shin guards are. Shin guards are always required at practice and in games. So no jewelry, earrings, grills, gold ropes, etc. No casts, hard splints. The game balls size 3. Each coach will be given game balls. I think we give each coach 3 balls and cones. And I'll talk about that later. And then substitution. So you have your 5-minute or you have 10-minute or 20-minute halves, both 6U and 8U. And during the halves, it's a running clock. So when the coach will keep track of time in the 6U, but in 8U with a youth ref, they'll say quarter. And they'll take it usually at about, between 9 minutes and 9 or 10 minutes. I encourage the refs to do that because it takes a little time to get them on. So the quarter is not the time to have a powwow with the team and water and a big discussion because the clock's running. So the more time you take, the less time you have to play. The only time the clock stops is at the end of the game and at the halftime. So just know who's going to sub, run them in and out. That's done. So and the ref will be there to kind of go along, but just, I see it more at the older ages where the coaches want to have some big strategy meeting in the quarter. And it's just not meant for that time. Okay, referees. So our referee, regional referee person is Mark Wesley, and he basically oversees all the referees in our region. And so we like to have one referee per match. You generally don't need a set of 3 refs. One ref is fine for calling outside, out of bounds. There is no offside. And so we'd like each team to provide one ref every other week, meaning that they have a ref that they can contribute. So this is a great time to get, if you have older siblings that are 10, 11 years old, it's a great time to get them involved in reffing. And I'll talk about reffing a little bit later, but it's a chance for them to get out there. They can go out and all the training is free. The basic referee training, we actually have 8U training too. So the regional referee is usually what most new refs get. We don't really do, we do kind of 8U, but 8U is like is the starting point, and then regional is up from that. And we usually try to get people to regional. So adults too, if you want it. It's a lot of fun. I've been reffing for many years and I ref mostly the older kids, but it's very enjoyable. So if it's something you'd be interested, please reach out to Mark. Okay, so practices. So we do have some restrictions, and Tina might pop in here and correct me, but as of now, Bellevue, Santa Fe, we are not allowed to practice at. Unless we hear otherwise. As far as Teach and Pacheco, those are off limits. They don't want us there. Hawthorne is fine every day of the week. Los Ranchos is fine every day of the week. Sinsheimer, we only have Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays. Bishop Peak, we can any day of the week, but only after 6 p.m. And then we have Laguna Middle School, Upper Fields only, and that's Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And we'll give priority to the 14U teams, and then we'll make room for the 12U, which you guys don't have to worry about. So as far as city fields, you can go practice there. We don't have a permit, but there's no permit required. The only thing we ask is if a city, if someone else does have a permit, please go ahead and vacate in preference of them. So the last thing we want is to create a bad image for us. All it takes is one negative interaction with the city employee to make things, not so good for us. So just be polite and everything will be fine. So we cannot practice at Damon Garcia. We only have our permit is only good for Saturdays to play and Wednesday nights. SLO High, Taylor, no practice. Cal Poly Cuesta, and the SLO County Parks, no practice. So there's places around. You have to be creative. I will be sending out a sheet of practice sites and times. And it doesn't mean that if you sign up, that you can't. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm going to send it out. It's mainly to give everyone a chance to sign up and let everyone else know, hey, I'm going to be practicing at this point. And so if 2 people want to practice at the same time, I'm not going to, referee and say you can or that. It's just, you're gonna have to work with each other. So a lot of it is just, figuring out on the fly with the people that are out there. So I would recommend the rosters. Now, before I changed this meeting to being a virtual meeting, I was going to give your rosters out tonight and the coach bags. So things have changed. For one is we didn't have all the stuff and material, so I couldn't give you the coach bags. The other thing was that because the wait list remained open so long by mandate from the area, the teams were constantly in a flux. And so as a result, the T building is finished, but there's a lot of backlog to get all the teams lists printed. So I'm working on that. I'm going to be sending those rosters to the division coordinators who will forward them to you. So what you will receive is a roster with all the kids' names and email and contact information. And then you will receive a single piece of paper. That's their medical release. And so it's the coach's responsibility to print the medical release forms and keep them with them at all times. So print them, put them in a folder, wherever, just have them with you, practice and at games. On the first day, our first day of opening day, which is September 18th, we will be checking the medical release forms for each coach and the roster and checking off each player. We only do that the first time, but you must be sure that you bring the printed copies with you. So we're not going to look at them on your phone and check you off. That's not going to fly. So just bring them as a hard copy. So I'd recommend have a parent meeting once you have your roster. I usually had, when I coached, I'd have my parent meeting at the first practice. I just ask people to show up. Now, the thing is, this is different now because one of the things that I didn't emphasize, which was probably later in the presentation, is that parents can't be at the practices. So the mandates we have gotten from the schools is that no parents can be present. So the coaches must just the coaches and the players. So I would suggest, because of that, go ahead and have a Zoom meeting, have a virtual meeting with your parents, set up a time, meet everyone, say hello, and then solicit volunteers. It's always nice to have a team parent that can coordinate snacks. Because I mean, really at this age, what's the most important part of the game? It's what they get to eat after the game's over. That's it. And so have someone coordinate that, have someone help with the end of the year party. You always have to, want a party. That's the next second most important thing. And then maybe a parent that can be a referee. So spread the work. You don't have to do it all. You're already coaching.
The other thing is, since we brought up the snacks, I know normally we would have like oranges or something at the halftime, but given COVID, we can't do anything sharing wise. And so if you are doing team snacks for afterwards, they have to be individually wrapped. So no like homemade cookies, cupcakes, those kind of things.
That's a good point. Thank you, Tina. Yeah. So in terms of practice, I would say 8U once a week is fine. If you want to do twice a week, that's fine too. If you have the time, I think the kids, depends if you'll probably know after you meet them if they're going to tolerate that or not. I always had two, but this is in the dark ages. But I would say that this is a recommendation. I didn't write this, but practice for 8U on Fridays. And then, I mean, that's probably the least popular time to have practice. And since you're not really pushing the kids conditioning wise, it's probably fine. It's not like they need a day to recover. So 45 to 60 minutes, it's really up to you. You're the coach. You set the schedule, when it is, where it is, what time it is. So that's all on you. So I get a lot of emails from parents saying, when's practice? I don't know, because that's your decision. You're the coach. You get to decide, fit it into your schedule. Banners, we've had banners, mostly younger like those, but please don't, in the days of the past, we'd pound rebar into the ground to hold them up, but we can't do that. They've requested we don't, because you never know if we're going to hit a sprinkler. or a sprinkler line. I mean, typically the lines are much deeper, but they've asked us not to do that. Always have your player medical release forms. And again, year-end celebration, recognition of the player. So that's something that goes with team management. Okay, so safety. Our safety officer, Celia. Tina, how do you say her last name?
It's Uri. Excuse me. It's Uribe. Hi.
Uribe. Okay.
But
thank
you can say Uribe. Yes.
Okay. Are you on, Celia?
Yeah,
I'm
she's
right
on.
here, David. Yes,
Oh,
I'm listening
thank you.
to every word.
Oh, you hanging on to every last word. Thank you. I can't tell
Uh-huh.
there's so many people. Did you want to say anything about safety?
Well, I think the COVID is the part of safety that's going to be different this year. We obviously all the players have their families have signed the release forms. And the incident reports. I think you can probably speak a bit better to that. It's just we're working following all the COVID guidelines at the moment. As you know, things are changing in the county, in the state, in the country. And right now the restrictions that we have are those placed upon us by the district. And we will keep you updated if we hear anything that is changing. We will let you know. Like that's
Okay, great. Thank you, Celia. Yeah, I think as she said, we're just following what the county's telling us. It's really, I think the COVID, of course, is dependent on the county. And so that's why AYSO hasn't really sent out a mandate for everyone, because it just varies depending on where you are. So there are, if for some reason you have an incident, player injured, or we do ask you to fill out an injury report. And this, actually, there's a lot to this form. Here it is. And I'll come back. I know it's hard to read on here. It's a little blurry, but you can download this on our website. But it's really just to tell us what happened. So if someone got injured on the field, what happened, the cause, the outcome, anything from minor scratch. I don't know if you need a Band-Aid if you need that, but anything of substance where maybe a player has to, any kind of concussions or any kind when a player has to be taken out of play, we'd ask that you just fill these out for us. We do have all the coaches are covered by AYSO secondary insurance. So while you're practicing, so if something comes up with that, we can address it as needed. So the as far as the carpooling, do you have anything on that, Tina, as far as carpooling? Do we have any mandate or any guidelines for that with
AYSO is asking not to carpool, just because of COVID. If you've already been carpooling with them, then I don't see why not. The only other thing is coaches cannot carpool just kids. You have to have another adult in the car, unless it's your own child. So there's that.
Okay, thank you.
But also make sure if there is kids carpooling in your team, make sure you know who it is and who's bringing them and who's picking up. And I think going back to the practices for the city, the district, they're recommending that the coaches show up a little bit early to set up your fields. And then when you send out that initial welcome email, or if you're calling your players, telling the parents to meet you outside the campus at the gate, whatever, like if you're at Hawthorne, say meet me at Sandercock on that gate at like 3:30. If you're going to be later than 5 minutes, text you, and that you will escort them off the campus once practice is over, just so they don't come onto the fields, because we don't want to lose permits for any of the school sites, because I know we're already limited on fields. So that's our big push, and there will be an email going out to parents to let them know. So they can stand on the sidewalks, they can sit in their car. Like at Hawthorne, there is no parking lot, so they can park and watch from their cars. They just cannot be physically on the fields. And same with siblings of coaches' kids.
Okay, thank you, Tina. So another thing with player safety is goal, no climbing. And I think we discussed this. It's more with the 8U because of the fact that we have the big full-size goals there. Please don't let your kids or players climb on them. The goals can't tip over. And if because they're not staked down or if they're not set up for play. So they're just not jungle gyms. So please don't. And again, I'm going to emphasize this again, always have your medical forms with you, bring them to practice, bring them to games. I did mention the insurance and the incident reports. So if you have any questions on that, you can email Celia or myself or Tina. And again, a lot of this information is on our website. And just look around and you should be able to find it. Okay, and that's the form I showed you earlier.
And if a parent contacts you to let you know that a child has COVID or somebody in their family has COVID, you need to email Cecilia and let her know, and she'll do the proper protocols from there.
And if you could CC Tina on that also, if that happens.
Yeah.
Great. But yeah, please contact her. So Tina's our uniform person. So again, if you need a jersey, short socks, you're missing something, take a photo of the pink tag and send it to her. And you can send it to your division coordinator or to her. I mean, it's probably sending to me, I'm just going to forward it to Tina. So probably just cut off the middleman and send it to her. But that'll allow us to figure out which uniform it is. So speaking of uniforms, coach bags. So normally at the coach meeting, we hand out the coach bag. So this year's a little different because of COVID and also because we got off to a little later start this summer because of the new system that we're dealing with. So distribution of the coach bags will not be until after Labor Day weekend. Now, part of the reason for this is that if in the unlikely event that the season's canceled because of COVID, that's still a possibility. I'm praying it's not, but we don't know. Then we don't want to hand out the uniforms because then we can't take them back. And that would grossly cut into our budget and ability to refund for the season. So we're going to hold on to the uniforms. You don't really need them until the first game anyway. So each coach bag will get the uniforms. You'll get 3 game balls with the ball pump. You'll get a first aid kit with ice packs. And it's 6U. We also give you cones. So we give cones to the younger coaches because usually coaches, when they reach 10U, 12U, they've been coaching a few years and they have more cones than they know what to do with. But in the interim, if you need something, and let's say you want to hold practice, but you don't have anything, usually the balls are usually for game balls. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't use them for practice, but usually we save them for the games. But nonetheless, most kids have a ball size 3. But if you need cones or you want a first aid kit before that, then we will have stuff at the SLO Business Center, and those details will be sent out. So I'm going to, the distribution will be essentially, there will be one day at the SLO Business Center, which is owned by our Brad Dolzal, who is our equipment person. And you will be able to drop by at any time during a day. It'll be to be announced and pick up your bag. And so the bags will each they'll have a number. You'll just check you off. You'll get your bag and everything. But if before that you need something, I would suggest is email your division coordinator and let them know. And then we can we can determine who needs what. So just an idea if you need something before.
And this year also, on top of the first aid bags, you'll get another little red bag that looks like the first aid bag, but it's gloves, and it has 2 bottles of sanitize and a bag of hand wipe sanitize. So
Okay, good. Thank you, Tina. So that's pretty much everything. More information again, if I left anything out, you can either email Tina, regional commissioner, or me, the coach administrator. There's our emails, our website's up there. But most of you have been pretty forthright about asking questions. That's good. If you don't know something, ask your division coordinator, or you can ask us directly, whatever you prefer. Are any questions?
David, this is Marianne. Emai is the way you pronounce it.
Emai, thank you. Emai, thank you.
I just want to clarify for 6U and make sure that my picture is correct. When it comes to 6U playing at Hawthorne, because the practices are before the game, parents and siblings can be there on Saturdays, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But their play structure and stuff will be off limits.
Okay. Thank you, Tina.
Yeah, Saturdays is a little bit different. And I'll be there on Saturdays at Hawthorne. So that will help figure this out.
I have a question. 6U, is there any restriction from having a practice prior to that first game?
No.
You mean at the field, or are you talking?
No, like sorry, like the week before having a.
Oh no! As soon as we give you your roster, you're more than welcome to start practicing. I was just telling you is that I won't be able to give you cones or your balls until after that date. But if you need something, let us know. We have cones. We have first aid kit. If you really want it beforehand. But yeah, you're welcome to practice as soon as you get your site. In fact, I'd encourage you guys to, at least touch base with your parents as soon as you can. Even if you can't practice for a week or so, just let them know, because they start flooding us with calls wondering what's going on. Yeah. So just connect with them.
And 6U, I would recommend, since you do practice before the games, at least meeting, reaching out to your parents as soon as you get your rosters, let them know. But then planning on meeting maybe like at a park or whatever, just so one, you can hand out the uniforms, but two, just so you can kind of get to see the kids and, kind of get to know them all. But yeah, try to meet at least once beforehand to give them uniforms.
Tina, David, there was a question about whether all coaches need to be vaccinated. And the AYSO volunteer website has a lot of really good information about some social distancing drills and ways to keep everybody safe. I think everybody here has school-age children, so it's stuff that we've really been hearing for a while. But their recommendation, and it's a recommendation, is that if you are unvaccinated as a coach, that you wear a mask outside.
Yes.
And obviously, if anyone were to practice inside, which I can't imagine happening, then everybody is recommended to wear a mask. But there are no actual requirements. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know if David, you went over, but the bathrooms are off limits at all school sites for practices.
I think I mentioned the honey huts, but yeah.
So there will be honey huts. And then once they get delivered, I will be putting a padlock on all of them with a code. So I will be having your division coordinators will email you with the code so that you can unlock it. Make sure if you unlock it to lock it as soon as you are done. Don't leave it open for practices. I'm trying to.
Because otherwise people will start living in it. It's like, I think.
Or the locks get missed. And then I get called from the schools because the kids are playing in it at recesses or lunch times. And so that's the other thing is I work for the school district. And so I am busy in a classroom or with kids until 4 o'clock every day. And I got 3 kids of my own. So if you do email me or call the Google phone number, I will most likely not get back to you until after like 8:30 at night. But by the next morning, you should have an email of something from me. So,
I have a little more flexible schedule. I teach also at Poly, but I'm not as is it in the university. We have more flexibility time wise. So, if it's something that you're not, if you need an immediate answer and you can't get hold of Tina, feel free to email me. I think my phone number is also online. I prefer email over phone calls, but if it's absolutely necessary, you have to, then you can call me too.
Are we required to be on the next call if we're coaching another league, if we've already been through this call?
I'm not going to say you have to sit there. I'm not taking roll. There's a few different things on the next one related to the older ages, but again, it's up to you. If I'm not going to take roll. So,
someone asked about goals at practice. If you want goals at practice, you can go ahead and you can purchase them yourself. We don't provide goals for practices, but you can pick up some like pop-up ones pretty cheap at Big Five. Or you can even put it like on Facebook and market and say you're looking for some. Usually there's people that have some.
okay. Anything else from anybody? All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming tonight. You should be hearing from your division coordinators with your rosters fairly soon. I will get them to you as soon as possible. Probably be at least a few days, might be the weekend before I get them out. I'm hoping to do it beforehand, but it takes a while to download from the system. The system is not friendly, but I'll do my best. So thank you again for coming tonight, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the field. Good night.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Tina, I'm just gonna leave it open for now, and then we'll start in about 9 minutes for the next one.
Alrighty.
This is Marianne. I'm going to stay too because I'm coaching 10U. So I'm just going to
Close,
hang out and do a few things while I'm sitting here.
And
This is Todd. I have actually another meeting to go to, and I'm going to try to pop back in, but things seem to go very well. Well done, David. I think we're all in the right place. So
yes.
Godspeed, everybody.
See you later, Todd.
Bye.
Oh, Marianne, the uniforms finally came today.
Yeah, that's good.
I couldn't walk into my front door.
Oh my gosh, were they all just left like on your front porch?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Over 40 boxes.
So do you have space in your garage for that?